Hello, weird readers. I'm Jason White. This is my channel, Jason's Weird Reads, and today I'm going to be reviewing Mira Grant's two mermaid novels. They're basically like one is the main novel, and the second novel is the prequel, and that is Rolling in the Deep, Into the Rolling Deep, and Rolling in the Deep. I'm going to just go blind on this one because I really enjoyed the first book, but I didn't necessarily like the second book. Into the Drowning Deep by Mira Grant. Here is a synopsis for that. 7 years ago, the Artigatis, I don't remember how you pronounce that, and I know I listened to this on the audiobook. It set off on a voyage to the Mariana Trench to film a mockumentary bringing to life ancient sea creatures of legend. It was lost at sea with all hands. Some have called it a hoax, others have called it a maritime tragedy. Now a new crew has been assembled, but this time they're not out to entertain They're not out to entertain. Some seek to validate their life's works, some seek the greatest hunt of all time, some seek the truth. But for the ambitious young scientist Victoria Stewart, this is a voyage to uncover the fate of the sister she lost. Whatever the truth may be, it will only be found below the waves. But the secrets of the deep come with a price. So, this book is obviously it's about this television station. They like doing things like this, like doing mockumentaries. You could almost call them like creepypastas in a sense. And they sent out this ship that went to the Mariana Trench and got lost. And and everyone, there was some footage I think that was found. And in it you see these killer mermaids. And everyone was like, oh, that's just a hoax. But obviously, real lives were lost. And so they send... this book actually kind of reminded me a lot of the movie Aliens with Sigourney Weaver, the sequel to Alien, because it has that feel, especially in the beginning when they're all like, we're going back. What? We're going back? Yeah, we're going back. We got to find out what happened. And I was just like, this is Aliens. This is awesome. And the rest of the book there was Aliens type thing. I think, if I were to say, this book, I think, was influenced by Aliens. It doesn't copy it by any means. I don't think too many people... I've gone through some of the reviews, and not one person says this is like Aliens. So I may be like totally off base, but I don't think so. I think if you took both stories, you'll see similarities between the two. And it's kind of an interesting part to start off on the second movie, Aliens, and sort of use that as an influence because it's, movie part 2, but then again, you don't need to watch Alien in order to enjoy Aliens. And I know that because I saw Aliens first. Pretty much. Anyway, that's another story. So they go back, and of course, they run into the same problem that the other ship did. The Artigatis, or Artargatis. I don't know how to pronounce that. But it's... this book is just a lot of fun. You have like these characters who, some of them are kind of, it's almost like a slasher in a sense too, because you have these characters you just don't like, and your dark side wants to see them get torn to bits, and of course you're going to be satisfied with that. One thing I really enjoyed about this book was the scientific detail that went into it. Mira Grant, or I believe her real name is Shannon McGuire. She's obviously she writes she writes in different genres. I think Mira Grant is her horror writing name, where Shannon McGuire is her more fantasy. I don't know if either of those names are her real name, but I'm pretty sure her real name is Shannon McGuire. I could be wrong, but anyways, she does really well by the science in this book, because the way the information that, a lot of the crew here are scientists. It's not just let's go out and film something for our station and make tons of money. There is that aspect to this journey, but there's also the people who want to know exactly what happened, and so they bring these scientists in, and of course these scientists have knowledge about the ocean, the Mariana Trench, and sea creatures. So you get loads of information about this stuff, and there's a lot of interesting things that get packed into this novel because of that. I really enjoyed this book. I thought it was great. The ending was just like, oh my god, like there is some really nasty stuff that happens in this book, and I think you're going to enjoy it. If you like gory stuff, you're going to like it. If you like science fiction like stuff, you're going to like it. You like killer mermaids, you're going to like it. It's not just killer mermaids though. There's something much bigger, and I mean that. Something much bigger going on here. And it's all fascinating. Her creatures make a really awesome sort of sense as to exactly what's going on, how they live and how they survive, how they breed. It's all there. It's a fascinating story. So Into the Drowning Deep is book 1. There's no book 2, because for book 2 we take a step back and we go into Rolling in the Deep. Now, as you might have guessed, this book is that first voyage that went out into the sea to do the mockumentary and, basically have fun. And make tons of money. So let me read the synopsis for you. When the Imagine Network commissioned a documentary on mermaids to be filmed from the cruise ship Artigatis, they expected what they had always received before, an assortment of eyewitness reports that proved nothing, some footage that proved even less, and the kind of ratings that only come from peddling imaginary creatures to the masses. They didn't expect actual mermaids. They certainly didn't expect those mermaids to have teeth. This is the story of the Artigatis, lost at sea with all hands. Some have called it a hoax. Others have called it a maritime tragedy. Whatever the truth may be, it will only be found below the bathypelagic zone. As you can tell, I'm not very smart, and that's okay. In the Mariana Trench. And the depths are very good at keeping secrets. So, Rolling in the Deep is what happened to that first ship that went out. And I did not like this book. I did not like it. This is actually one of the only books that I didn't like, but I kept going. And I think it's because I expected more from it, but what I got instead was what felt like the plot of the story. This book felt more like plot points than reading an actual fleshed out story, because there's no depth to it, not like the other book. This book felt like, you know what, your mermaid book, Mira, has been selling like hotcakes, and we need more of that from you. So why don't you write either a part 2, or better yet, how's about you write what happened to the Artigatis? What happened to those guys? Write that story. We'll make money. Seems like I'm really shitting on people who want to make money. I have nothing against people who want to make money. But I think if you're going to spend the time to write a prequel novella that explains something that was pretty fascinating that happened in the first book, book 1, this is book 0.5, then you should at least give it some meat like you did in the first one, because that's what people are going to go for. When they read this second book, they're going to be scratching their heads, because all you do is, there's no character depth whatsoever. There's no real story. There's no one you're rooting for. It's empty. It's the plot points. It's plot point to plot point to plot point, a skeleton of a story that was not fleshed out. It felt like you're reading somebody's draft, maybe their first draft, that's been all corrected. All the grammar has been corrected, and it's fine that way. But there's nothing added to it. It's an outline. That's what I'm trying to get at. It feels like you're reading somebody's fleshed out outline, and it just needs to be rewritten again. So I gave Rolling in the excuse me here. I gave Into the Drowning Deep 4 stars, and although I have 4 stars here for Rolling in the Deep, no, that's more like a 2 star, so I'm changing that right now, right here, while I'm talking to you guys. 2 stars for that, and 4 stars for Into the Drowning Deep. I think, you know what, I recommend the first book for sure. It's a lot of fun. The second book you could probably do with skipping, unless you really, 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 really want more of that world. Alright, so that was my review of these 2 books. Thank you for watching. Let me know what you thought of these books deep down there in the darkness, if you've read them. And I'll catch you guys in the next bookish video. Keep being creative and keep being safe.